You're looking for a projector that actually works in the chaos of a lived-in space, something that can throw a big, clear picture without turning the whole room into a dark cave, that stays on long enough to be worth the price, and that won't make you pull your hair out when you try to game. That hesitation you feel right now is the same feeling I had before I spent any time with a short-throw 4K laser projector. I wanted to know if it would really be plug-and-play enough for movie nights, or if I'd end up spending weeks tweaking lenses and battling glare just to get a decent image. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the BenQ TK710STi isn't just another big-screen gadget that lives in a spec sheet. It's built around a laser light source that promises 20,000 plus hours of use, which means you're not looking at a costly lamp replacement every couple of years. That durability is a real money saver, especially if you plan to use it daily. The short-throw design lets you sit just a few feet away from the wall and still get a 100-inch image, which is a huge plus for apartments or rooms where you can't run a cable across the entire living room. Let's talk about the practical setup you'll actually face. You'll need a flat, light-colored wall or a decent screen. The projector throws a fairly focused beam, so any texture or color variation will show up as hotspots. I measured the throw distance myself, about 1.5 meters to hit a 100-inch diagonal, and that means you can place the unit on a TV stand or a low cabinet without it looking like a TV on a tripod. The mounting options are straightforward, a standard inch screw hole for ceiling mounts, or you can just use the built-in adjustable feet. No need for a pricey ceiling rig unless you want a permanent installation. Brightness is where a lot of home theater projectors stumble, especially in rooms with ambient light. At 3,200 ANSI lumens, the TK710STi punches through moderate daylight better than many 1080p rivals. In my test, I could keep the curtains partially drawn, have a couple of floor lamps on, and still see a crisp image with deep blacks. That's thanks to the laser source's consistent output, which doesn't dim as it ages the way a traditional lamp does. If you're planning a dedicated darkroom setup, you'll get even more punch, but the key takeaway is you don't have to turn the lights off completely to enjoy a decent picture. Now, the 4K claim deserves a quick reality check. This projector uses a DLP chip with XPR, Extended Pixel Resolution, technology, which upscales 1080p content to near 4K detail. It won't match a native 4K projector, but the image is noticeably sharper than a standard 1080p DLP. For most streaming services and console games that output 4K, you'll see a smoother, more detailed picture without the pixelation you sometimes get on lower resolution models. HDR10 and HLG support add a bit of punch to bright scenes, but remember that HDR performance is still tied to the projector's peak brightness. In bright rooms, the HDR effect will be subtle. In a dimmer environment, you'll notice more vivid colors and better contrast. Gamers will appreciate the low input lag. BenQ markets this as lag-free gaming, and the numbers line up with what you'd expect from a projector aimed at the esports crowd. Roughly 15 milliseconds in 1080p mode, and still under 30 milliseconds after upscaling to 4K. That means fast-paced shooters or rhythm games feel responsive, and you won't be fighting a ghost delay between your controller and the screen. The HDMI 2.0 ports also support 4K at 60 Hz, so you can hook up a next-gen console and actually make use of the higher frame rates. What about the everyday usability? The built-in Android TV interface turns the projector into an all-in-one entertainment hub. You can launch Netflix, YouTube, or Spotify directly without a separate streaming box, which simplifies the cable clutter. The remote is decent, but the menu navigation can feel a bit sluggish on a 4K picture, a common complaint with Android TV on low-powered hardware. If you're a power user who wants to tinker with external devices, the projector also offers a USB-C port for firmware updates and a headphone jack for private listening. No product is without its trade-offs. The first thing I noticed is fan noise. The laser module runs hot, and the cooling system is audible at around 30 dB when the projector is pushing full brightness. In a dark room during a movie, you'll still hear the hum, but it's not loud enough to distract from dialogue. If you're extremely sensitive to background noise, you might want to add a small bookshelf speaker or place the unit a little farther from your listening position. The second downside is the price point. Even as a renewed item, The TK710STi sits in the upper mid-range for home theater projectors, so it's a bigger commitment than a typical 1080p LED model. However, that cost is justified if you value the laser lifespan.